Just busted a fucking nut. I feel so dizzy and stuff, man. I just busted a fucking nut, man. Fucking hell, bro. I'm a fucking loser, man. I like discipline and stuff, man. It's really hard when you're addicted to corn and stuff. So like constantly, like you're watching shit that constantly hijacks your dopamine system. The prefrontal cortex. The area responsible for problem solving, decision making, right? And cognitive functions. It's like when you watch corners, I already made a video about this. Like you impact like your cognitive functions, negatively, like the ability of learning, like concentration, memory. So that's why it's bad. Apart from procrastination, loss of energy, like you're losing too much energy, which can lead in turn to procrastination, all of that. But wait, what? Where is my fucking app, bro? I'm missing a fucking app, bro. Where the fuck is that fucking app? Here, bro. Really don't get it, bro. I'm missing an app on here, bro. I swear I'm missing a fucking app. I don't remember what I had here, bro. I really don't remember what I had here. Okay, man, later, bro. Later, I'll see later. Anyway, so when someone compares like masturbation and corn, they don't really understand the difference. It's like comparing healthy food to junk food. The only reason why I would advise you to quit both if you can is because they both lead to like loss of energy, right? Both like corn and masturbation, they lead to losing energy. I mean, you should use that energy into something productive instead of just jacking off and then like feeling tired and stuff and going to sleep, not doing anything with your time. That's what I think. I don't know why I'm missing here, bro. Like, damn, bro. Like, what is wrong with this shit, bro? Okay, now it's fixed. I really didn't know why it disappeared, bro. Like this Google thing, bro. Like icon, bro. It completely disappeared. Anyway, so that's what I'm gonna say, man. In any case, bro, I don't feel good doing none of these. Neither masturbation, neither corn, bro. I always get headaches. I always don't feel good. And it's not really like placebo effect, bro. Like, it's not. It can't be it because a lot of people like complain about the same thing, Especially corn. I mean, it's studied. I mean, it's been well studied that it has negative effects on the brain, Similar to drug addiction. I'm not making things up, Anyways, man. Let's get back, bro. I think I react to some videos, man. I feel like give what I think, man. I think I tell you what I think, man. If I don't know something, I must say I don't know something. Let's see, bro. I would like to give my take on some, you know, some dating coaches. Let's see what they say, what they have to say, bro. I'm not before anything, bro. I want to say that I have no interest in dating. The society that I live in has no interest in dating. Nobody dates here, bro. Like I live in a religious society. Not that I'm particularly religious, but I'm a necessitarian agnostic, if you know what that means. But without getting into it, let's see what they have to say, man. Because there's a lot of bullshit online, in my opinion. I don't know, man. I can just tell you what I think. But this guy in particular, bro, like he's spitting some real stuff. Like I agree with almost everything he says. A lot of people online be hating on him and stuff, but I don't really see anything that wrong with the messages he's spreading. Like to be honest, I don't see anything wrong, bro. All right, let's see what he has to say, man. Okay, this is not directly linked to dating, but it's linked to one of the signals, right? So he's talking about like looks. It's like no influences your looks in a negative way, which influences your attractiveness. But we can all agree that like good looks doesn't automatically mean attractive, right? Because attraction is about signals. And there are many signals. There is looks, there is status, there is wealth, there is personality. You know, there is a lot of things. I mean, some people value like stability. Some people like emotional stability. Some just want shared values. You know, like so it's really complex. Like anyone who claims that you can reduce attraction to something simple, like should raise a red flag in your eyes because it's not simple. It's a complex concept. You cannot really simplify it. It's not really as simple as you think. It's not really you gotta have this and you gotta Yes, there are tendencies, there are patterns, right? I'll give you an example. For people who say that men are logical, women are emotional, that is no right because there is no study suggesting that's the case. What studies show is that women they are more expressive, they report emotions more, but it doesn't mean they are more emotional than men. The difference at the individual level is more than the difference at the group level. I'm more emotional than women. Sometimes I think about like about the difficulties I'm going through life, all the psychological problems, bro. Like I get tears coming down my eyes. You really think that it's about gender, but it's not about gender. There are some women who have no empathy. There are some men who are very emotional. So it's not like it's more about the individual rather than the gender. Anyways, let's see.
No fap made me more attractive.
Can I flip
Here's
the
why. Been on no fap now for well over 4 years, going on 5 years, guys. And this is literally
bro? Like the funny thing is that in one of the videos he said 3 or 4 years. Now he's saying 4 years going into 5 years. So I don't know. You probably don't remember. I don't know. But I do remember in a video. You probably don't remember, but I do remember that in one of the videos you said 3 or 4 years. Now you say 4 years going to 5 years. I don't know, man.
right? If you do no fap, you're gonna be attractive, and it's made me attractive. And I'm gonna tell you guys exactly why.
Well, let me tell you something before anything else. No, when you say to people that you don't care about looks, they automatically translate it as society doesn't care about looks. Like you gotta understand, bro, the mentality of these people, bro. They think that everyone like cares to the same degree about women and this and that, bro. But it's not the case. Like when I say, like for example, when I say that looks don't matter, it's not that they don't matter at all. They don't matter nearly as much to me as to you. And I'm talking about myself, not about society, because to society, of course, they matter. And they matter a lot. When I say like they don't matter that much, I'm talking about myself, because this is where like the confusion is. Most people, like when they say that looks matter, they talk about society. Yeah, of course, yeah, but I'm talking about myself, so you can't really debate me into something subjective, how I feel about something, so what can you say? You can debate the idea itself, yeah, but if I tell you, for example, that I like the color like blue, if I tell you that I like the color blue, like there is no reason, I just like it. I find it like aesthetically appealing. So like there is no like logical reason to why I like the color blue. Like I mean, what can I say? I mean that's logical. Yeah, that's logical. I find the color blue appealing, therefore I like it. But like you get what I'm saying? Like there is no like detailed explanation to why I like the color blue or other like rather than other colors. It's based on preference. That's what I'm gonna say. Like you can't really debate preference, right? That's what I think.
Into it. The first thing is that overstimulation from watching porn makes you actually finish faster. So there's always been this argument that if you touch yourself, right, you tend.
I mean, there is truth to this. It does cause premature like ejaculation in a lot of men, like watching porn. I mean, not that I had sex or anything, but I'm just like from the superficial like research that I did. It's true. Yeah, they have like erectile like dysfunction and all of these problems. So there is truth to this. Let's see what
to
what you
last
say.
long. No, 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 no. That's not actually the case, right? As a matter of fact, the more porn you watch, the more you touch yourself, you get overstimulated. And two things can happen. You get PIED, which is porn-induced erectile dysfunction, or you actually finish faster. There's no advantage to
But let's be clear, bro. This is only bad if we go by the premise that everyone like wishes to have sex and all of that. Because, for example, I don't give a damn. Like me personally, bro. Like I'm single for life, bro. I don't give a damn. I just want connections, you know, like with family, with friends. That's it. I don't care about no romance, no anything, bro. I'm actually anti-romance, bro. Like personally, I'm anti-romance. I'll tell you why. I'll give you the reason why. And it all boils down to overthinking. For people like who suffer from overthinking, you can't really have these unwanted emotions. Like it's not like you can't really have these emotions of love and all of this because not only this, but you know emotions become a problem. When you attach to someone, it becomes a problem. Like emotional attachment becomes a problem when you're overthinking because you're constantly overthinking about everything, bro. You're overthinking about events. You're overthinking about people. You even like cannot get these unwanted thoughts, feelings out of your head. Unlike other people once they're like with their loved ones and stuff, once they leave, that's it. They don't think about these emotions like anymore. They're back to work. You know, they're back to business. But when you're actually suffering from these overthinking problems, you just can't get that stuff out of your head. So it becomes a distraction. You cannot do anything but think about that person. You cannot get these feelings which become like intrusive and unwanted. You cannot get them out of your head. They leave you like distracted. You cannot do anything. You cannot focus on work. You cannot study. You cannot. So it becomes a problem. So the best way is to get away, you know, to not engage into this romance stuff, man, because this is not like a biological necessity in the first place. Yeah, it's natural. Yeah, I agree, but you can go your entire life without having sex, without masturbation. It's possible. It's not like we're not talking about food. We're not talking about, you know, like water. We're not talking about sleep. So it's different. People tend to mix between these two, but it's not the same.
watching another man get laid. There is no advantage of watching another woman that you're not with get piped down or another woman pleasure herself. That shit is weird. And it
I agree. Yeah, this is really like. But when you're addicted to these things, bro, you understand damn well that this is not right. This is like weak. You're making you a weak man, you know? Like this is ridiculous. Why you gotta watch another motherfucker like what can I say, like beat the cheeks of another bitch? Like you realize this is stupid, right? But you can't stop doing it because you're addicted. Like people are not addicted to something. It's easy for them to judge you. They say why you're doing that. But once you are addicted yourself, you understand the pain. You understand like it's not really that easy. Willpower is not enough. You need the right environment. And the best thing, in my opinion, I said this multiple times. The best thing you can do if you're addicted to something is get yourself the right environment. Surround yourself with people. You know, for example, if you're addicted to corn, try to stay with your family. You know, because if you are not alone, that guarantees like that you won't do it. You know, because it's something that you do in private. If that makes sense. Anyways, I'm at home right now alone, bro. I wish someone doesn't enter so I can continue talking without any distractions. This is really annoying, bro. Like these fucking third world countries, bro. You can't even get a home when yourself. You can do nothing, bro. Like. Damn, bro, people be 30, 40 and they still living with their parents and stuff. Not because they ain't got a job or anything, but like, I mean, it takes years like to get the money to build a house and all of that, bro. Especially if you don't generate enough income from your job, you know.
makes you finish fast. It makes you actually less attractive. When you're not overstimulated as a man, all right? You go into interactions with women focused. You can breathe. You're not like you don't feel this like sense of the world. It's so weird.
Okay, let me intervene in this segment. Do y'all think that like why should I use y'all, bro? Do you think Do you think that confidence has to do with personality or with not jacking off? Like, do you think actually this has any impact on confidence? I don't know. Personally, I do think that, but it could be just a placebo effect as I believe it. It could totally not be the case because there are people who jack off, 24/7, but they are still confident because they are confident. I mean, it didn't impact their confidence. Not everyone who jacks off is unconfident. So I don't know if there is any truth to this claim. I don't think there is any truth to this claim. Most people aren't confident to begin with. And let me tell you something. The way you show yourself is different from the way you are. It doesn't have to always follow reality. I can be unconfident but display myself as confident. Think of myself as, like, for example, just as you can be weak but display yourself as strong. Of course, I mean, if they challenge you to do something that proves that proves your strength, then you're fucked up. But I mean, you can display things that you don't have. Most people fear judgment. They fear society. That's why they cannot show themselves. And anyone who tells you that you gotta be yourself, now, first of all, I don't think anyone can be themselves. Like, to be honest, because society doesn't leave you. I think that's a lie. They do not let you to be yourself. Because in a lot of times, if you be yourself, you are breaking a lot of boundaries. For example, if I were to be myself, anyone who talks with me that I don't like, I would straight up ignore them. But if I were ready to do that, then I would be in huge problems. I might get into fights. They might slap me. They might, So you can't really be yourself. That's a lie. That's a big lie y'all been told, bro, in my opinion, bro. There are always limitations by society. There are always boundaries. Even on YouTube, you cannot speak about anything that you want. You have liberty, but it's limited, the liberty. They give you what to talk about, It's like someone for example, you go to a restaurant, they propose you 3 meals. You gotta choose between these meals. You have freedom, but your freedom is limited within these options. You cannot go outside these options. It's the same, bro, like in real life. There is no actual freedom, like in a total sense. That's clear, I think everyone understands this, but
This feeling that porn does. Like when you watch porn, like you just get a headache. Like I don't understand it. It's weird because you're overstimulated. Now your brain is this
this is true.
excess dopamine that doesn't even exist, that is not real. You're getting it injected into your bloodstream, and you're getting this false sense of excitement, false sense of accomplishment in this momentary time because your brain, the way your brain works, guys, is sex is a biological need. You need to eat and reproduce, survive and have sex. So your brain is already hard.
I already talked about this. I said this is not true. Sex is not a biological need. I don't know who told you that, but it's definitely not a biological need. There are people, many of my family, like family members, bro, like I have uncles who never had sex, bro, like they are still virgins. So what's your point? It's not really the case, bro.
Wired to release dopamine because it's a biological thing when you have sex. When you replicate that with pornography, right, you actually become a shrink of yourself. You become less of yourself because your brain's thinking, oh, I'm getting laid, and then
Bro, the biggest reason behind these addictions, bro, is society, bro. Like, you get what I'm saying, bro? Like, why do they encourage this corn shit, bro? Like, if they really care about like mental health, bro, like they would ban all these sites. But they don't care, that's the thing, bro. Like, they pretend to care about, like, individual health, society, health, but they don't really care, bro. Like, they wouldn't allow such things, bro. Even cigarettes shouldn't be allowed if they really care, bro. If the government really care about, the individual's health, bro. Like, the citizens' health, bro. Because they don't care, that's the thing, bro. Cigarettes, they only, because, they benefit from their shit, bro. Like, that's the only reason. You don't care about your mental health. None of these things, man. If I were to make rules, bro, I would ban cigarettes. I would ban this corn stuff. All of these things that destroy society. I mean, come on now, bro. Like, the biggest reason, and also a lot of these addictions, they thrive when you're like alone. They thrive on loneliness. Not necessarily on loneliness because loneliness is a feeling. I mean, some people feel solitude, being alone. Some people feel like loneliness. And there's also this like numbness, discomfort, right? It's like when you're feeling loneliness, but you try to forget about your loneliness. The thing that all of most of us do, right? When you scroll through social media, you try to forget about your problems and stuff. But once you get back to your reality, these problems, these thoughts hit you harder. So in reality, you are not escaping anything. You are just like, yeah, it could be a temporary escape for you, but for me, like I'm still thinking about these thoughts even when I'm scrolling through social media. So it's not even a temporary escape for me. It could be for you, but once you get back to reality, everything hits harder again. So it's not really a solution. The only solution is to sit back and face your thoughts. Try to find a solution, you know? Maybe seek a therapist or anything, bro. Like, because even these therapists, they need therapists. Anyone who claims that they have no psychological problems, no nothing, bro, like, you have a problem, bro. Like, they lying to you, bro. Like, something's wrong with them. It's either something's wrong with them or they're lying to you. Because there is nobody who doesn't have problems, psychological problems. Yeah, of course, some people don't show it. You know, they acting like they. It's not faking because, like for example, if we call that faking, then even actors are faking. Because they are not displaying like the emotions that they feel inside. So their internal emotions. So it's not really faking. Because if we go by the same basis, anyone who's angry and who doesn't show anger is fake. But it's not really the case, right? Faking is about deception, in my opinion. It's about like lying about your internal state, saying that you are happy but you are unhappy. That's what faking is. Fakeness is. I forgot what the point I was trying to make, but I could get what I'm saying. Like, anyways, man, I completely forgot what I was trying to say.
You realize, oh shit, I'm just touching myself. So you get super anxious. Now you overstimulated. Now when you get with a real girl, you can't get it up because the overstimulation you felt.
Let me think, bro. Like, damn, bro, I really forgot about what I was trying to say. Like, but you get the idea, right? It thrives on being alone. When you're alone, these addictions thrive because there is nobody like besides you who's gonna tell you anything. You know, you feel like a lot of these like addictions they thrive on privacy. You know,
Watching porn, you can't get to that kind of. So basically, I don't want to get scientific on y'all, but you increase your baseline of dopamine, right? That's literally what overstimulation is. You are increasing involuntarily.
you need like more stimulation to achieve the same level of pleasure, right? Because I mean, people who are addicted to porn, they know this. When you constantly are used to the same scenes, you try to like the reason why people get addicted to porn is because of novelty. You know, like it's so easy to find like a new videos, new like actresses, actors, new porn actors, right? So this novelty is the reason why like I mean the corn you know is more stimulating than you know like masturbation that relies on imagination. Like that's the difference. What point I'm trying to make again, bro? Like every time I'm trying to make a point, I forget. Let's see what you gotta say. Yeah, so like overstimulation, right? We're talking about overstimulation. Yeah, so like when you are used to the same scenes, over time it's like you would require a lot more like more hardcore scenes, more hardcore corn to achieve the same level of pressure, you know? And that's the problem. It's like every time you try, you go in more and more like hardcore, like so your baseline like of dopamine increases, which is like the point that he's trying to make.
Voluntarily increasing your baseline of dopamine. This is what causes erectile dysfunction. So when you get with a girl, your baseline to just get a hard on is so high, you got to get stimulated by so much bullshit for you to just be enjoy getting your wee wee up. You can't even get your wee wee up because you're so
I don't know
overstimulated.
about this. I never experienced this, bro, because I'm not having any sex. I never had sex, and I'm not ever having sex. So I don't know. Y'all can tell me about this, man. I don't know about this.
It requires so much to get your thing up. It requires so much because your baseline now has increased so drastically that being with a girl, touching the girl, kissing the girl.
But yeah, there is. I mean, if you look online, yeah, there's a lot of like I mean, sources, they say that, I mean, there are maybe even studies like showing that a lot of like corn addicts, like they suffer from like erectile dysfunction, right? I mean, it's not, I mean, this is, yeah, true. I mean, it's not a lie though.
See how crazy that is? That's what overstimulation means. You're overstimulated by too much consumption of another man getting laid. Two,
Damn, it's getting
porn
dark, bro.
hijacks the part of your brain that is responsible for willpower. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that tells you what to make decisions, how to make decisions, memory, willpower.
Yeah, I noticed this. Like, I have zero self control. Like, decision making, I tend to make stupid decisions a lot of the time. And I really think that the reason why is because of this corn bullshit. I mean, I don't think there is any other explanation. Because I used to have like better control back in the past. So
Porn
before this addiction, so
hijacks that part of your brain. Have you ever noticed that when you want to watch porn or when you start watching porn, you can't even stop yourself? You like, what do I do? You can't go back because it hijacks that part of your brain. This makes you less attractive. This makes you more succumb. Like,
yeah, it blocks like the area responsible for logic. You cannot make rational decisions when you're like. This is why I think that these sexual urges are like our biggest enemies, man. I'm not speaking for everyone because like who am I to speak for everyone? But I'm speaking for myself. Like they are my biggest enemy because like they block rational like the part of the brain like responsible for rational like logical choices. You cannot think logically. You cannot think rationally when you have sexual urges. That's why you cannot resist. I mean, they weaker like your self-control, right? But they also block like you cannot make rational decisions when you're like when you have sexual like that's why you jack off to these bitches and you later regret it. You cannot make rational decisions because it blocks your the part of your brain, responsible for logic and rationality.
this part of your brain is hijacked, right? Guess what you do? You're controlled by your lust.
This is the same reason why you shouldn't make you shouldn't like take this like what can I say like yeah take decisions like when you feel emotions too strongly, when you are under the control of emotions.
You say stupid shit. You can't even have self-control. No self-control as a man is incredibly unattractive. So when you get around a girl or you're trying to be with a girl, you can't even control yourself. You can't even control your lust. This is what happens when these guys.
Bro, these motherfucking Sims, bro, like they're the downfall of society, bro. Like I really think, bro, these motherfucking Sims are the downfall of society, man. Bro, just look at this like OnlyFans girls, bro. They making like hundreds of millions of dollars just from news, bro. Like, what is this, bro? I mean, it's not in every society. This is particularly in the West, but like, look what society has gone to, bro. Like, this is some low-level shit, bro. Like, and males don't have like the same option. I mean, this is one area from which, like, I mean, social media is like one area from which, like, we females like have a leverage, like they have, an advantage, in my opinion. I mean, there are areas where males have an advantage, and there are areas where females have an advantage. For example, in religions and stuff, males have an advantage. A lot of religions, like, they favor men over women. But these social media and stuff, like, I really think like social media favors women over men because of the reason I mentioned. I think it's easier to blow up, easier to be successful if you're a woman because like looks play a huge role, right? And since there are a lot of like male sims compared to female sims, it's only like reasonable to find like more women successful. Because let's be honest, there are female sims and there are male sims, but female sims are more selective, right? They don't just simp. Wait a minute, bro. Like, it's getting dark out there, bro. Like, wait a minute, bro. Fucking hell, bro. It's getting dark as shit. Ah. Ah, man, it's getting dark as shit, bro. Yeah, so what I was saying, bro, like, I mean, yeah, there are like simps in both like genders, There are female simps and male simps, but the difference is that male simping is broader, right? It's basically about every woman. They just simp, like just like in dating, like in these dating apps. They just, they just like, what can I say? They swipe right on every woman, whereas women are more selective about how to simp for. Usually they simp for women and they simp for men. But when I say they're selective about male simping. They usually simp for like men who are successful, who are like unreachable for them. Like what can I say? The men that they can't get, right, out of reach. That's what they simp for. Whereas men, they just simp because they're fucking idiots, bro. They have no like, what can I say? Like they have no self-respect. I mean, but can you really blame them, bro? Like I was quick to just throw an answer, but can you really blame these people? Because everyone like has a subconscious bias inside them, right? I mean, you can't really be neutral about something. I mean, it's only natural to treat like attractive people better than not attractive because that's biology. I mean, this subconscious bias is influenced by biology. They are out of control, and the stronger the bias is, the harder to resist it. I mean, yeah, I know that like conscious like actions don't have to follow like subconscious biases. For example, I mean, all teachers they have like a favorite student subconsciously, but consciously they try to be as neutral as possible. When the subconscious bias is too strong, it overwhelms, right? So you can't really blame them because everyone is overwhelmed by the subconscious in one area. Even if they're not overwhelmed in one area, they can be overwhelmed in other areas. So can you really blame these people? I mean, men have higher like sexual drive, right? And the subconscious bias. This is why the subconscious bias tend to be like stronger because like they evolved like to protect women and stuff. So that's why they are kinder to women like by default. Even like a man and a woman who are both aggressive, they are both insecure. You'll find that they are harsher to the men because of these subconscious biases. They think that men like they also like there is a societal view that men are tough and they gotta stand up for themselves, whereas women like they're fragile, they need help, they need all of this, right? But they are also like fragile men. So what's your point? There are fragile women and fragile men, but fragile women are more. So you just gotta like I mean, if you really gotta go by fragility, then it's gotta be both ways. It doesn't have to be only one way. It gotta be both ways. You don't want to hurt the fragile. Don't hurt the fragile man too. Don't hurt the weak man too. Or better than everything, don't hurt anyone. Try as much as possible not to hurt anyone. Because let's be honest, equality is not possible. You cannot like equate between a weak man and like a strong man. Someone who can walk and someone who walks. For example, in a bus. If we go by equality, then I take the seat first. I can stand, yeah, but I took the seat first. I was the first to sit, right? And you came later, you cannot stand. You have to stand, even though you cannot stand, because this is equality. But if we go by justice, then we will take into considerations like the differences, like the biological, like physiological, like personal differences. Like for someone like who cannot walk, I might give him the seat. Because this is what justice is. People tend to confuse between justice and equality. Equality leads to justice is the way, right? Because like equality is not possible. It leads to, how can I say it? It leads to inequality when you really think about it.
Guys, they're in public, they're gawking at girls. You think that's by mistake? They don't have any more self-control because every free time they get, the part of their
Yeah,
brain
this
that
is
is
right,
in control of willpower, they're diminishing it every second. So when they get in public, their monkey brain, porn literally makes your monkey brain, not your smart brain.
bro. Let's see what he has to say.
Your monkey brain, hoo, hoo, ha, 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 it just follows like a fucking idiot. It makes that brain more dominant. Literally, this is a thing. So when you're in public, you can't even
I don't know if it's the right word because this is not actually like because I mean humans are not like sexual objects, so we can't really dehumanize them, right? We can't really dehumanize them, but it's like people who watch too much porn, bro. Like they tend to treat like women as objects, right? We tend to look at them as sexual objects, but they are not. So I mean, even if they portray themselves, that doesn't make them objects because humans can never be. I don't think that's the right term, but you get the idea, right?
Control yourself. You can't even not look at her ass. You can't even not gawk at her. You can't even not stare at her. Yeah, that makes you attractive? Think that makes you desire? That's what porn does. That's what porn does. You get around a girl in public, your monkey brain is so activated because you spend hours on hours jacking your shit, consuming porn, that here you go in a public setting, you can't even stop. That's how weirdos are made about. And if you keep watching porn, you'll be one
Nah,
of
bro. I don't think this is. I mean, there are many people who watch porn, but they are not what you describe. I think it's more about the environment. It's more about personality than just watching porn. I don't think this is true. Not everyone who does this like this creepy what you call creepy behaviors. Not everyone who does that is a porn addict. You know. So I don't think that's the case. It's more about personality. It's more about environment, the way you raised, how you think.
You notice you need a harder and harder hit. The thing that got you turned on in that last video, you need more of it, more extreme of it. Your willpower is decreasing. Your monkey brain is being activated. You're being controlled by a piece of media. Your brain is being hijacked in real
This is
time.
true.
You
Yeah,
gotta fight
definitely.
this demon, man. Fight this demon. Fight this demon. I would rather you, I've never said this in my life, I would rather you just touch yourself without porn than for you to watch porn. Like, it's that bad.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
rather
I
you just
agree with
imagine
this. I
yourself
already
being
thought
with a
about
girl, bro.
this.
If you are that down bad, go into the bathroom, rub one out, and you think about a woman with your own imagination, than for you to go sit up there at the phone screen, because that's gonna kill you. Both of them are bad.
But let's be honest, like if you're watching porn but you're relying on imagination instead of, I mean, you look once, right? So you rely on visuals for once, you know, you look once, but then you complete the process with your imagination. Isn't that closer to masturbation than it is closer to porn? In this sense, does it have like the negative effects of porn or just like gooning? I don't know because that's why you usually do. I don't just rely on visuals. It's like I look at visuals and then rely on imagination. So for me, it's like a mixture between both. I don't know. Junk food and healthy food both. Consumed at once.
Man, if you're at the point like, oh, Faye, I need something, man, just go in the bathroom, rub one out. Hopefully that can calm your ass down. I would rather you not do either, and I would rather you put that energy into something else.
Exactly,
but
yeah.
the worst of the two
Can't do
evils,
that,
at
bro.
least
Like,
your imagination.
it's a little for having the self-control.
Please being with a girl. It's not better. It's not that much better. It is better than you consuming pornography. I want you to be able to control your willpower because
Let me be honest, bro. Like, if you're addicted to porn, bro, it doesn't matter, like, if you are in a relationship or not, you're still gonna find excuses to do this stuff. Addiction does not disappear. Like, a lot of people, like, they have this false idea that if you have a partner, you know that the addiction will suddenly disappear. But there are a lot of people who, even like, though they have partners, they found partners, they are still doing the addiction. They finish sex, they go and do, like, and jack off in the toilet. It's not really a solution. And there is no, like, I don't see, like, what can I say, like, any societal effort to combat, like, strong societal efforts, big societal efforts to combat these addictions because they don't think of them as big problems as I do. They don't really see them for, as bad as I see them. That's the problem. That's why, like, countries don't ban these fucking sites. They know they don't do anything to. I mean, families, they don't check their their kids, about what they watch. There is no supervision. They don't discuss with them if they have any of these addictions. So it's really fucked up, bro. Like, there is no awareness, bro. Like, generally there is no awareness, bro. I might talk in a later videos about some of my thoughts, concerning this marriage and all of this. I'm against it, but I'll try to get into details. I'm gonna try to tell you everything I think about it. But for now, let's continue the video, man.
It's gonna translate. The things you do in the back end, the things you do in private, come out in public. That's why when I see these guys, it's like they never seen a girl in their life. I'm wondering why they like this. Because they fucking
Okay,
jack
man, we're
their
done with
dicks.
this video, man. I gotta check out other videos because I'm talking too much, I'm talking too much. We gotta check some videos. It's already 40 minutes. Looksmaxxing. Let's see what they say about Looksmaxxing. I'm gonna give my ideas as well. Looksmaxxing trends. Well, let's see the truth about Looksmaxxing, right? The truth about Looksmaxxing. I need some short video, but let's see what he has to say, bro.
Has Looksmaxxing gone too far? Today we're going to be talking about the dark truth behind Looksmaxxing, what they really don't want you to know.
Discover the wide world of Looksmaxxing.
Looksmaxxing is the idea.
Here's a no BS guide you can follow with more than 13 tips.
From a simple shower all the way to getting surgeries to an 8 out of 10 with no surgeries. What? All the way to getting surgeries with no surgeries. Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And honestly, I did not want to have to talk about this, but I'm sick and tired of sitting down after a long day with some food, opening up Instagram Reels, and seeing this.
Is the Bible secretly a guide?
Okay, first let me tell you something, bro. Like, as I already said this, I'm not against Looksmaxxing at all. I'm actually pro Looksmaxxing. I said this multiple times. Most of the people that I notice the pattern. Like, most people who tend to hate on this trend, bro, like, it's either they have no hope themselves, and they tend to cope, or they don't have the means to improve their looks. So that's why they say, oh, it's okay and that, looks don't matter. Just so they can feel comfortable in their own skin. But that's not really the case. A lot of these people, they want validation, they want partners. If you want validation on partners, then it's only logical, it's only reasonable to improve your looks. Even if you don't want validation, you can do these things for yourself. But for these people who want to have partners, right? They want like social validation, right? They want social respect. I mean, looks don't only boil down to attraction. I mean, they have like many benefits, right? We agree on that. So, I mean, you'll find that a lot of these people, like they just tend to cope. Like, they don't have the means to improve their looks, and they tend to cope. Like, there is they probably lost hope. And they say that it doesn't matter. This trend is stupid. I already said this. I said the key is wanting to Looksmax, not needing to Looksmax. Because if you want to improve your looks, but you don't need to improve your looks, even if somehow you didn't manage to improve your looks, you wouldn't feel bad because you did not attach your self-respect, your self-love to that. That's the difference. The difference is between wanting and needing. I'm pro wanting, but against needing. It shouldn't be a need. It has to be a want. Plastic surgery, yeah, you can do all of this. Just don't do the myths. Like, don't follow the harmful myths. Like bone smashing. These things that don't work. Bone smashing, for example. That's something that you gotta avoid. Mewing, I don't think mewing works because here is the thing. Mewing like trains muscles, right? It does not train the bone because there's a difference between muscles and bones. It's not the same. Whereas with bone smashing, I mean, like there is a difference between long bones and facial bones. Like when you hammer I don't know much about Looksmaxxing, but this is what I think. When you hammer like your facial bones, it's not the same as when like Muay Thai fighters, for example, when they gradually like damage their legs, like their long bones. Yes, when you gradually damage your long bones, they grow stronger. But that's Wolf's law, right? But with like facial bones, it's not the same. They grow either the same or weaker. I mean, you can like look that up. It's not the same. Facial bones are not the same as long bones. It doesn't really work with bone smashing. Like with facial bones, they don't really grow stronger. So It's a myth.
To Looksmaxxing.
Okay,
The
so
first recorded examples of mogging
damn,
comes from Joseph,
too much
the
noise,
grandson
bro.
of Abraham. Brothers, probably due to their prey eyes and asymmetrical face structure, the Bible is trying to teach us that Looksmaxxing is not something that can be bought or sold. It is something that God wants us to earn.
Has Looksmaxxing gone too far? But before we talk about the truth behind Looksmaxxing, let's talk about the.
Hey!
I'm not gonna lie.
Wait a minute.
Imagine being on like some jumbo.
Sorry about the noise, bro.
And it's like a kiss cam or a flex cam. Imagine being on like some jumbotron, and it's like a kiss cam or a flex cam at like a baseball game or a football game. But instead of kissing, instead of flexing, you start doing this. No, I'm not gonna lie. There are some pretty unfunny ones, some pretty stupid ones. I like the ones where they're mewing.
Let me tell you something, bro. Like, if you really look into human nature, oh, what the fuck is this, bro? Like, come on, bro. You're trying to give me bands or something, bro?
Being skinny doesn't mean you're mogging. Android emojis.
Let me tell you something, bro. It's not within human nature. Most people, like, they do not absolutize looks by nature. I mean, yeah, they care about looks, that's natural, but absolutizing looks is usually a result of unconscious external influence. This Looksmaxxing community, societal judgment, it's not really within human nature, because in my environment, in my society, we don't really care about looks as much. They can just tell you that it's not really something like we idealize, like, what can I say? Yeah, we idealize, like, we absolutize by nature. It's not like, it's a result of external unconscious influence. A lot of these people, they think they do that by nature, but it's really like an external influence, an unconscious external influence of others. They are influenced by others to care about these things. That's why most of people in these communities, these Looksmaxxing communities, they care too much. Like, they tend to flex 24/7. They tend to look in the mirror, you know. They're so obsessed with the looks, but it's not really natural for most people. Why nobody in my society absolutizes looks? Because, like, society doesn't care much. There is no one who, like, you're not constantly in my society, in my environment particularly, you're not constantly judged about your looks, you know. If I were to go, for example, to South, like, Korea, I would be called, like, ugly in 1,000 languages, you know, 24/7. No, this is exaggeration, but I would definitely be judged more about my looks, because they're like in these, like, first world countries, you know, where there is a lot of competition, like, standards tend to be high. In most third world countries, standards are only limited to wealth, ability to provide, right? Because it's not a guarantee that most people can provide. Whereas when everyone, almost everyone, like 90% of the population can provide, then it tends to shift, like, the standards tend to include something else, you know, they tend to shift towards something else. Money, status, personality, looks, you know. So it shifts from the basic, like, ability to provide to other, like, this is the same with evolution, you know, like with animals, like natural selection, you know, like, I mean, when resources are scarce and, you know, like, I mean, options are scarce and stuff, you know, it's only about survival, like being able to provide, you know. So it's only about a mate that can make you survive. But once, like, the options are too, like, there are many available options, then it boils down to other factors for selection, you know, for filtering. You know, these standards, they serve as like, you know, like, what can I say, like, as filtering tools, right? There are too many people who provide, you know, you add another standard, looks, you know, so, and you eliminate, you know, based on looks. There are many people who can provide and they have good looks, you add another status. There are many people who, like, I mean, number of people, like reduces each time with each standard, right? That's the thing, like, that's the, like, the filtering way, as I say. But when you, like, in these, in, like, in societies, third world societies, like, like the one I live in, like not everyone can, like most people cannot like reliably provide, you know. So like it's not guaranteed that everyone can provide. So it only boils down, most of the time it only boils down to the basic ability to provide. Other standards come after, you know. How many people are struggling? They can't even find, like, they live in tough environments. They can't even find food and stuff. I mean, it's gonna only boil down. It's only natural that we only boil down in these environments. In these environments, we only boil down to the basic need. Like, what can I say? We only boil down to the ability to provide. You know, stability. You know, it's only natural. Survival becomes the priority. So that's the difference between like most third world countries and first world countries. So as I said, in a lot of like developed countries, there is like a lot of competition, right? A lot of competition means higher standards, because it's only natural to raise your standards to filter. So that's why they have more complex standards in the West, like compared to where I live, for example, you know. It's not that we don't also have standards. We also have standards, okay? Like religious standards. Like the partner has to have the same religion, you know, like family, like reputation, morals, you know. So there are also standards. It's just that they shift. There are always standards, but they shift. And the standards that are in my society are more basic. You know, about family, like you know, like reputation, like you know, like the relation with the other like partner's family, like religion, what religion you are, you know. Because if you come to my society, like where 99% of people are religious, there is like, I mean, religion plays like a big. If you are not like the religion, they, in most cases, they would decline you, so you will get rejected. So anyways, talking too much, but you get the idea. More competition, higher standards, more complex standards, which is only natural, you know, as they serve as a way of filtering.
Looksmaxxing ain't working on him. Mogging the entire hallway. Mouth breather. Bone smashing is fake. Starts bone smashing him. What does that mean? Is that like a sexual term? Turns into Chico, then looks to class. The thing is though that this meme has gotten so popular that people are really far.
You gotta hate human biology, bro. Like, it's not your fault that you're attracted to these good-looking people, because everyone wants the best partner they can get. So you can only blame biology for that, because the truth of the matter is that we are attracted to these traits, you know, this looks and all of this, like confidence, strength, because survival favors them. Not because they favor survival, but survival favors them, right? Because survival filters characteristics, bad characteristics that don't, you know, that don't lead to survival, right? So that's why that's what explains the reason. Like, that's the reason why we are attracted to certain traits. It acts as a filter, not the opposite. Survival like shapes biology. That's why we are attracted to certain traits. It's not the opposite. I know this is hard to grasp, but you get the idea.
Out here. Unleash your full genetic potential, amplify your facial structure, and ignite your looks with our Looksmaxxing program, where transformation meets excitement. People are creating courses. The link isn't even in his bio. All right, we found one with the link in bio. Let's see the admin of this Looksmaxxing page real quick. All right. You know, honestly, it makes sense. I can see it. All right, let's check out his link in bio. Okay, for Indica, for international. $3 is crazy. Okay. India for international is.
Explore the profound impact of looks maxing, height maxing, style maxing, etc. Unlocking the potential to elevate your appearance, enhance confidence, and realize your utmost capabilities. Embrace the journey of self-improvement, opening doors to limitless possibilities.
Oh, it's like an ebook. You know, 95% off. Dude, all I have to say is, let me just say that if you see something like this, for India, for international. This should be your first sign to know to stop right here. Do not buy this. This is how you know, like, some Indian scammer. No offense to bro, I get he's trying to get better, but this is how you know some India scammer is
It
is
could
making.
be.
You can't get too into
There are
it.
too many
Like,
of
if
you
start
Indians out of
tries,
these people.
that's how
Right?
you know you're in too deep, bro.
Pakistani
They're not
people,
even
bro, like
funny
they're known for
anymore.
scamming and
There's
stuff,
only
bro.
like one in a blue moon that's is that a monkey? I'm never getting that 10 seconds of my life back. Alright, next up, let's talk about something serious here. Now, I've been analyzing this Looksmaxxing trend for a while, trying to really get to the root of it, really understand it, and see why is this so popular. And I think I finally came to a realization here, and then it hit me. Looksmaxxing is the guy version of the Kim K-ification. Now you might be thinking, what is Kim K-ification, alright? It's kind of just a theory that I've developed, alright? Hear me out. Remember when all the girls were trying to look like Kim K? This like cakey face, lots of makeup, making your eyebrows darker, like shaded in, those like eyelashes. Remember when every girl was trying to look like this, right? Maybe not exactly like this, but like different versions of this look. Now all the guys are trying to look like
Get it
this.
straight.
Maybe not like exactly like this. Whatever this picture is supposed to mean is what I'm getting out here, alright? These like scales, what women truly find attractive. PSL scale versus real life. Black
There is
pill.
no single like. There is no single thing that women find attractive. It's not really that simple because if we're getting deep into the rabbit hole, you know, there is a difference between good looking and attractive. Attraction is about signals. Attraction is subjective, intersubjective at best. I would say intersubjective, right? Subjective, intersubjective. It's about signals. Being good looking is only one signal. It doesn't guarantee you being attractive. There are other signals, as I said, money, fame, wealth, right? Status, etc. And good, in a lot of cases, like good looking, being good looking alone doesn't make you attractive. You know, I wouldn't say like, I would just say certain cases. It's not alone to make you attractive because good looking is about your looks. You know, the way you dress. Like it's mostly used to describe facial beauty, right? It can also be used to describe like the way you are dressed. You know, your clothing, your height, like your physique, your face, all of this together. The way you. But in most cases, it's used to talk about your face, facial beauty, and the difference is that, as I say, good looking is one thing, attractive is one thing. It's not the same. You can find someone good looking but not be attracted to them. Even facially, strictly speaking facially. Because good looking is about structure. Whereas attractive is, do you personally find them like good looking? So it's about perception. One is about perception, one is about structure. And this makes us like, makes us question on whether like facial beauty, like we all know that attraction is not objective, right? It's, as I said, it's intersubjective, subjective, intersubjective at best. But what about like facial beauty itself, right? There are some people who don't find this, so it's not, it can be objective because it's not independent of the human mind, it's dependent on the human mind. I mean, not everyone agrees on what is attractive, even facially. But as I said, structure is one thing, like good looking is one thing, attractive is another thing. What about the structure itself? Is it objective? I mean, it's dependent on cognitive perceptions, which, I mean, the mind. The mind is a product of biology, right? I don't know, like, so it's not purely, does something has to be, I mean, is there like cognitive perceptions, are they considered like biology? Like, I mean, if something is slightly dependent on the mind, does that negate like objectivity relative to humans? Because we can simply like say that beauty, facial beauty is not objective, right? relative to the universe, because it's not like a physical law. We are not talking about gravity, right? There might be aliens like who evolved completely differently from us. They don't have the same biology as us. And if they come to Earth, they might find like people who we find like, for example, attractive, like non good looking, they might find them as good looking because they don't share the same biology. So there is always a chance. But if we talk relative to humans, like is beauty, like facial beauty, objective relative to humans? As I said, there is all. I mean, it's not purely about biology, right? So even the structure. If we talk about the structure, it's not purely about. We're talking about the structure, right? Is good looking. Like I mean, even if we talk about the structure, it's not like purely objective because, as I said, there is cognitive processes involved. So the mind is involved. So it's mind dependent in a sense. It's not really mind dependent. And even if something is universal, like even if everyone in the world agrees that someone is good looking about the structure, we're not talking about attractive the structure now. Even if everyone agrees, right, it doesn't mean it's objective. Yeah, biology is not a source of objectivity. This is like first of all, and agreement like universality doesn't imply objectivity, because objectivity is about like disagreement imply an error. There are many things in the past humans like, what is that called, heliocentrism, what is it called? I mean, there are many things that humans were wrong about in the past, right? But they were objective. I mean, even though they agreed that these things like they agreed about something wrong, they agreed that about something right, even though there was universal like agreements in the past about things. But these things like it doesn't mean they were objective, right? Objectively true, right? Because a lot of these things they turned out to be false. A lot of like human beliefs about a lot of things they turned out to be false. So objectivity is not really about agreement. If people agree about a statement or something like that doesn't make it objective. We can agree about something that is completely wrong, just like we did in the past. Like for example, humans in the past thought that there was like that like the sun was orbiting the earth, not the opposite. So it was objective. It was objective, like I mean, according to them in the past, but it later turned out that it's false. So it's not really about agreement. It's about like disagreement implying error. That's what objectivity is about.
I ain't even finna count.
You gotta focus a
I
bit.
became very nonchalant.
The thing I'm trying to get at here is that we're experiencing a dawning of a new age, a new era, alright? Looksmaxxing. It's the guys' version of what happened to the girls with Kim K. All the guys are trying to look like Thanos over here. It's actually gotten so big too that it's not even like, you know how people are like, oh, who's your favorite actor? Who's your favorite musician? Blah, blah, blah. Now we got like, who's your favorite Looksmaxxers? Everybody knows this guy. Everybody knows this guy. If you're on TikTok,
Chico
this guy.
Lachowski,
Like
what is
Mog
it?
Battle 2, what is
Dale
going on
Latham,
here?
right?
Two Hollywood A-list actors. One countless between. With the two biggest names in the.
Oh, hell no.
And the
No
percentage
music,
of
bro.
plastic surgery in men has increased like crazy.
Where, bro?
Plane gets filled with for sure Leo Mog. Joyzy.
No, but I don't want no.
For sure Leo Mog.
I don't want no
Thomas
music.
Buchon. Tough battle between the two biggest names in their prime. Umog Sue. What the fuck is going on here? Post your answer below. Johnny Mog. Johnny for sure. Leo Mog. Johnny Solo's negative dip.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no.
And the percentage of plastic.
The most recent data about trends in male plastic surgery can be found in the Aesthetic Society Statistics Report 2021, which noted an approximate 55% increase in plastic surgery procedures in men from 1997 to 2018. About trends can be found in Looksmaxxing, bro. Nothing wrong with Looksmaxxing. It's only like the only wrong thing is obsession, you know? There is nothing wrong with maximizing your looks. It's natural. It's natural to wanting to look better is natural. Nothing wrong with it. You just don't have to be obsessed because obsession is the problem. Like when you're too obsessed with something that it becomes your entire focus, that's the problem.
surgery in men has increased like crazy. Plane gets filled with bald men traveling back from Turkey after hair transplant, bro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's literally a meme that people go to Turkey to get hair transplants now. Bro does not need plastic surgery. You can do whatever you want. I get it's your life. What is up with bro's eyes? What did you do exactly?
I mean, the downside to these plastic surgeries is that sometimes you can get a bald face. I mean, if you're willing to take the risk, then take it. I mean, it's your own choice. But you only take the responsibility, right? I mean, if something doesn't go as planned, then you can only blame yourself afterwards,
Exactly. This guy looks like
right?
normal. He looks fine. This is not okay. Bro went from a normal guy to his Giga Chad sleep paralysis. I will say though, going back to this, honestly, looks
Let me see.
exactly. This guy looks like normal. He looks fine. This is not okay. Bro went from a normal guy to his Giga Chad sleep paralysis. I will say though, going back to this, honestly, Looksmaxxing at its core, at its root, is just being healthy. Like vitamin D, getting 8 hours of sleep, getting your calcium, 10K steps a day, bro. Just like being healthy. That's really
One
what
thing
it's
I'm
about.
against is
Being
drugs,
healthy,
man.
being
You ain't
hygienic.
gotta take no
Well, we see
drugs.
from research the number.
It doesn't make it tougher, man. Drugs only harm your physical health, your mental health. You know they lower your lifespan. There is nothing good about drugs.
One thing you can do to look better is to get healthier and to make more money. The reason I'm sharing this is I see this community just get sort of toxic about things you cannot change. If you're, past 18 years old, you're probably not going to get taller. You're not really going to change your canthal tilt without getting massive orbital bone reconstructive surgery. Focus on what you can control. You have to learn to be happy with yourself as a human being.
That's all cool. I have nothing wrong with that. But when it gets to a point where it's like, the memes are
I mean, yeah, you have to accept yourself. I mean, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to be better, because that's the problem. Because these same people that tell you that, you gotta accept yourself, you don't have to do all of these things. We can also apply like the same like logic. You have to accept yourself based on looks, right? You don't have to improve your looks. You should accept yourself. You also have to accept yourself regarding knowledge. Why do you want to learn more? Why do you want to understand life more? Why do you want to improve your knowledge? You should only accept yourself. Accept yourself the way you are. So that's where that's a flaw with this reasoning. There is nothing wrong with improving yourself. And no, you don't have to I mean, yeah, you shouldn't feel bad about yourself, but you don't have to accept yourself the way you are. I mean, you can improve yourself. I mean, if it doesn't I mean, if you can do it, then you shouldn't have a problem, right? But you should always be striving for more. That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't accept you the level that you are. You should always be hungry to become better. You should always look for self improvement. Always try to improve yourself in every area. I would argue not only looks, but this is just one area. I would argue that you should improve your looks in multiple areas. Looks, as I said, in terms of wealth, in terms of status, in terms of personality. I mean, personality. I mean, you can be who you want to be, man. You don't have to please others. There is no ideal personality. A lot of kind of guys that are being treated terribly. So it's not really about personality. I mean, you can be who you want to be, man. You just don't gotta cross other people's boundaries. You know?
kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. Some of them are just absolutely stupid, brain fried, breathing through your nose, drinking water, working out, being hygienic, all those things, just being healthy. But when it gets to the point where you're worried about plastic surgery and bone smashing, whatever that is, and height surgery, you're in too deep, bro. If you're really worried,
If we talk about high surgery, I don't know if I talked about this earlier, but if we talk about height surgery, like, I mean, it has a lot of risk, right? They break your femur, like the strongest bone in the human body. They insert a metal rod, and then they increase like the size of your bones, right? I think by few millimeters each day, right? You wouldn't be able to walk for like 5 months or something like. I mean, or 1 year. I don't know. Like, I mean, you wouldn't be able to walk for months. So that's what we know for sure, right? I mean, there's a lot of risk. I mean, there are people who died from that limb lengthening surgery, so it's not really safe. There's always a risk of infection, and you would most likely, like, as people say, like from their experience, people who have done it, you would most likely lose some of your athleticism if you're ready for that. You would not be as flexible as before. You would lose some athleticism. Jumping, running, you wouldn't be able to jump as much as high as before. You wouldn't be able to run as fast. Ready for that. If you're willing to sacrifice a bit of your athleticism from height, then go for it. But you just don't have to increase your height a lot, because when you increase, like usually these people who increase their heights like 8 inches through multiple surgeries, or 6 inches and above, right? Like they usually have problems walking. I mean, they are not. They cannot walk the same as before. They can even walk the same as before. It's like the more height you increase, it's like the bed, it becomes worse. You cannot walk as before. They cannot maintain stability, like, and some of them, like, they suffer from pain, leg pain. So if you're really going for this surgery, you gotta like be short, right? Because it's not worth the risks, I would say. I mean, too much money, like 70K or something. I don't know, depending on where you do it. Some places probably like 100K plus. I mean, there is Turkey, there are other areas, but what I know about is Turkey, right? You can do it on Turkey. I think there is a channel, I think, about this limb lengthening surgery in Turkey. It's called Live Life Taller or something. Anyways, that's all I gotta say, man. You gotta know what you're getting yourself into. And I wouldn't recommend it if you're already like, oh man, it's not really worth the risk. If you're 6 feet tall and above, I wouldn't recommend it. It's primarily like initially like was designed to fix like differences in leg like length, right? When a leg is slightly like bigger than the other, longer than the other, a lot of people who have done it actually regret doing it.
About which angle your eye slants at, you're in too deep, bro.
Hey, I don't want to sound like a stalker, but I think I know.
Alright, we're done, bro. No need for no music, man. Let's check one last video, bro. Let's check one last video, man. Let's check one last video, bro. Let's check one. I think they added this new feature, right? Where you type in there in this star or whatever, this icon right there, and it tells you whether you want to summarize the video. It proposes questions about the video. I think this is a really good feature. I don't know which AI they use. Is it Gemini? Like, what AI they use for this? I suspect it's Gemini. I don't know. Okay, so I said like, let's see one last video about dating, bro. Let's watch one last video, man. Let's watch one last video. I haven't watched this guy in so long, but I think he's one of the fewest guys on this, like, what can I say, in the manosphere, in the dating world, who's actually like, he knows what he's talking about. Like, there's a lot of these people online, but a lot of these dating coaches, bro, like, I don't think like they know what they're talking about, bro. They're not like as precise. They don't delve into like tendencies, like human tendencies, like female tendencies, I would say, patterns, and all of that. Like, they tend to be superficial in their advice. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. If you're not doing this, then that. But this guy is actually like, he's deeper. He's really getting deep, right? Let's see one of his videos. I want to see a short video, man.
It's free, fun, and effective. Download.
Back to
I can't even count how many times, bro. Like, I came across the fucking ad, man. I can't even count.
another video on the channel. Today, we're going to be looking at one of the most debated topics in this community, face versus height. Which one is going to get us all the bitches? I need to know, you need to know, and we're going to be looking at every single angle of this topic, and hopefully by the end of this video, I will have ended this debate. Okay, you will no longer be confused as to which one matters more, and you will hopefully be extremely confident in my conclusions as I will explain them. Because lately, I've been seeing a lot of debates about the two, right? People will say, oh, you gotta be over 6 feet tall. And then you'll have a separate group of people say, actually, if you're attractive, you can get away with being on the shorter end. So we're going to be looking at all of these arguments. We're going to be carefully dissecting them. And who knows, maybe by the end of this video, I'll come to the conclusion that neither face nor height matters, and that it's in fact all in your aura, like this guy.
I am extremely short and I have zero genetical advantages over you. And yet women choose me, not because of how I look, but because they can sense my aura. Are attracted to monsters they can tame, not to pretty boys they can dominate. And monsters aren't born, they are made. So stop blaming your genetics and start blaming yourself.
Because bro, I've been telling you guys from the start, women do not want Chad. It's all in your game, your money, and your aura. So face and height don't actually matter that much. Check this out. I'll even show a clip of a woman saying the same thing.
I don't want to date a Chad.
Now, you cannot ask women about what they like, because in a lot of cases they won't tell you the truth. They're gonna tell you what makes you comfortable, not the truth. They're gonna tell you what you want to hear, not the truth, right? What they actually think. What the subconscious thinks is one thing, and what they consciously tell you is another thing. If you want to learn how to fish, right? Do you tell the fish, do you ask the fish, how can I hunt you, whatever? Or do you ask the fisherman? You ask the fisherman, right? You ask other men who successfully get women, right? In particular women, not generalized, but you get the idea. You're gonna ask the person who got to, the men who got the women, who got the particular woman that you want. That's who you're gonna ask how he did it. Because there is no general rule, right? So we cannot really generalize. But about the particular individual, you gotta ask who, like the man who was able to get the women. You know, the fisherman who was able to get that particular fish, who was able to hunt that fish. That's who you gotta ask. And in a lot of cases, he's gonna be honest with you, more than the woman would be honest with you, if that makes sense.
I feel like most girls don't want to date a Chad.
Fair enough. Okay, what do you want to date then if it's not Chad?
Someone who doesn't identify as Chad.
Oh my god.
You gotta be so stupid, bro, to believe what they say to tell you, man. Like, I mean, it's not yeah, of course it's not a general rule that they are attracted to good-looking people, but of course, I mean, a lot of situations where there is pressures, where there is cameras, you know, you ask them, they gotta respond instantly. There is a big chance they will tell you a lie, just like they tell you a lie when you ask them, like, do you have a boyfriend, you know? Are you single? And they say that you have a boyfriend. Most of these women are lying. They just directly tell you that they are not interested. Of course, if you ask them, like, in an environment like where there is pressure, like cameras and stuff, where there are people watching, of course there's a big chance that they're lying. But the conscious, and a lot of times the conscious, what they say consciously, is completely different from what they think subconsciously. Not that you can control the subconscious, but you gotta at least like admit that what you're subconsciously thinking is different. So that we know that what you're really thinking deep down, because that's what always trying to say, bro. Like, if I have a belief, bro, like I'm always trying to say like the subconscious. I'm trying to give you the subconscious, even though the subconscious can be unrealistic, right? I mean, if there is bias within the subconscious, I try to eliminate it consciously. But if there is no bias, I don't see any bias personally, even though there is always bias, right? But if there is not that big of a bias, then I'm telling you, like, I mean, so okay, let me be clear because I'm starting to confuse y'all and stuff. Sometimes I tend to correct the subconscious. When I say subconscious wrong, I tend to correct it consciously. But I would admit what my subconscious is about. This is the difference. These people do not admit what the subconscious is about. I will admit what my subconscious is about and I will attempt to correct it consciously. And sometimes my subconscious and conscious, they tend to align. So what I tell you consciously reflects my subconscious. But with these people, they act like their conscious is always with alignment, like with their subconscious, which is not the case, you know. Because humans, here's the thing: like humans cannot be fully neutral. They cannot be neutral. Like it's not possible. It's not natural. There is always like an intentional like towards a particular like side. You cannot really be neutral. Like for example, someone who says that I like men and women equally. This can never be truly like the case. Subconsciously, there is always you are always leaning towards one side more than the other. For example, as a man, I'm leaning towards men, not not a particular man in a particular context, like who violate the women. Not that I'm leaning towards him, but I'm leaning towards the gender itself subconsciously. Not that I can correct it consciously, but I tend to lean towards my gender subconsciously, which is natural. A lot of cases, just like women tend to lean towards their gender, subconsciously. Not that like the gender itself, not the person, because this is the problem. I mean, if I see the man is wrong, I will consciously try to correct the subconscious bias. Try to make conscious like reasonable, like how can I say, rational like judgments, right?
You just want to date like a 6'3" handsome white guy that like is humble. That's it. That's like the only difference.
Yeah.
Okay, you got me. Looks matter, face and height matter. Let's get back to the topic of the video. But first, we need to talk about why this is even a debate, right? Why is it such a controversial topic? Surely by now, a lot of people should know what the right answer is. But the truth is, height in particular is something that a lot of guys cling to. It's a male obsession in a way, especially on the internet, because unlike your face, height is something that is measurable. If you are 6'1" or 6'2" or 6 feet tall, you can measure that down to the centimeter, right? So you can lie to yourself about your height. A short guy can't look at himself in the mirror and delude himself that he is tall. So because it is objective and because it is precise and we're 6 feet tall, you can measure that down to the centimeter, right? So
Yeah, I agree. The measure itself, whether you're 6 feet, you're 6 feet 1, right? 6 feet 2. The measurement itself is objective. It's independent of the human mind. But like, if we talk about the trait itself, being short, being tall, then it's relative. It's relative to the person. For example, if you ask someone who's 5'6", right? If you ask someone who's 5'6", if 6'1" for a man is tall, then it most likely like there is a big chance he would tell you yes, it is tall because he is short. That's the reason, because he's way shorter than that height, so he sees it as tall height, right? But if you ask someone who's 6'7", who's way above their height, if 6'1" is tall, then in a lot of cases you would get the negative answer. No, it's not that tall. Relative to him. So the trait itself is relative. It's subjective to the person, right? I mean, that doesn't neglect that the possibility that there could be someone like who's 5'6", who still thinks 6'1" is short, despite him being way shorter. And the opposite, someone who's 6'7", 6'1" is tall, despite him being way taller. I mean, in most cases, it's what I described. So my point is that the trait is subjective, right? But the measurement itself is objective. Yes, I agree. Let's go.
You can't lie to yourself about your height. A short guy can't look at himself in the mirror and delude himself that he's tall. So because it is objective and because it is precise in nature, men tend to gravitate to height as a concept. It makes us feel good because
But wait, what is considered tall in one society is not the same as what is considered tall in another society. For example, Philippines and Netherlands. Netherlands are like some of the tallest people in the world, you know? Tallest country behind the Dinka tribe. I don't know if you heard of the Dinka tribe. But the Dinka tribe are like 1 inch or 1 centimeter taller on average for men. Like I think 183 for Netherlands and 184 for Dinka tribe, right? So, like my point is that what is considered tall is dependent on society. You know, in Philippines, 6 feet is tall, but in the West, bro, like Netherlands, in Netherlands, for example, it's average for men. For men, 6 feet is average. So it depends. In the West, it's still above average, because what's the average height in America? Like 5'9", 5'10", you know, about 5'9", 5'10". So it's slightly above average. But in my opinion, someone who's 6 feet, you know, bare feet, it's nothing special. It's above average, but it's nothing like tall. Tall for me starts from 6'3" plus. 6 feet is barely like I see many people who are the same height as me. You know, it's nothing special in my opinion.
logical, right? Whereas with face is a bit more subjective. You more with your face. You can look in the mirror and be ugly and still come to the conclusion that you're an attractive guy. So because there's a lot more subjectivity and cope and face is a bit more difficult to measure, men tend to obsess over the concept of height. A lot of men have this impression that there is no such thing as two.
We already talked about the face, right? We already said that it cannot be fully objective, even if we talk about the structure itself, right? Because there is cognitive perception that are into play, which means that it's mind dependent. I don't know, I could be wrong about this, but this is just my analysis.
Tall. Like I was watching a reel the other day of a guy who's literally 6'6", who's taller than 99.9% of the population, and he still wears height boosters when he goes to the club, just because he wants to be taller, just because he wants to mog more.
As a 6'6" man, I'm still wearing height inserts when I go to the bar, plus Air Maxes. So basically, I'm trying to fraud 6'9" minimum.
I mean, yeah, there are many people, you know, who fraud, you know? They wear heels, whatever, you know, they hear these height boosting shoes. There are even shoes that boost your height by 6 inches. I don't know if you know about this, but there are actual shoes like they boost your height by 6 inches. It's just crazy to think about. But yeah, even there are tall people that want to be even taller, like this guy. There's also that other guy, like what is it? What was his name? Eye Catcher, right? He was measured like by Kenneth Sky, like fitness, like the YouTuber. He was measured to be 6'7.5" with shoes on, right? And he claims, but that guy still claims to be like he denies that. He still claims that he is 6'9" bare feet. I mean, if you're 6'9" bare feet, then you should be at least like 1.5 inches. You should be at least 16.5, which is not the case. And he was seen against, like I saw a video of him against the women, like I don't know, she's probably a model, that she was a basketball player or a model, I don't know, like Ekaterina Lizina, that's her name, right? She's 6'9", right? She was taller than him. I've seen her in the video. She was slightly taller than him, which suggests that the measurement is accurate. He's about 6'7.5". But the fact that he wants to be like, his reputation was revolving about his height, 6'9". He still insists that he's 6'9". It means that he won't be taller, right? He want to be 6'9", even though he's not. There are people like who are tall and still want to be taller, and there are people who are short. But I don't think there are people who are short who want to be even shorter. I don't know. It could be very, very, very rare cases, but I don't really know, man. Because being short has a lot of disadvantages socially in terms of respect, right? But there is the respect earned, right, because of your personality, because of your character, and there is the social respect before they know anything about you. The social respect before, like the prejudgment before knowing anything about you. Yeah, I mean, it's based on looks, it's based on height. Yeah, I mean, height plays a lot of role. For example, for someone who is 6'5" and 18 years old compared to someone who is 5'5" and 18 years old. The one who is 6'5", I mean, if someone comes in and doesn't know nothing about the two, I guarantee you he will like. There is a higher chance he will be like. I mean, many people. Let's give an example of many people who came like they pass across. They just seen these two guys. There is a higher chance they will be intimidated by the 6'5" guy because he's taller, even though they don't know nothing else. They just see like these two guys when they see one short, one tall, right? There is a way higher chance that they will be intimidated by the 6'5" guy because like society tends to like associate height with strength, security, right? Even though there are actually like secure short people and insecure tall people, but it tends to associate like security, strength with height, which is not always the case. There are dangerous short guys. This Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? These UFC fighters, they are not that tall. I would argue they are like average and below, right? About average, but they are still way dangerous than your average 6'7" guy. So
Basically, you know, shorter people are trying to wear inserts to even the playing field. And here's the thing, though, dude. Like, look at me facially. Like, I'm LTN. So the problem is that if I'm 6'6",
what does the LTA mean, bro? I keep hearing him. I don't know much, you know. But I can tell you, this guy, like, he's above average looking. Like, in my opinion, I think he's average looking, above average. I mean, he's like a good 8, you know, 7.5, 8, you know.
And they have a face card that's better than mine. They're actually going to have a higher SMV, in my opinion. So, how do I counteract this? Well, I put inserts on my own. Oh, but dude, you're 6'6", man. Don't do it. No, but you can do it. No, I'm going to do it.
So us men have this perception around height that the taller the better, but is this actually true? But yeah, you also have guys like Clavicular who also just want to get taller at every cost, and people don't seem to think that height has diminishing returns, which, spoiler alert, it actually does. Anyways, bro, enough yapping. Let's get into the charts and let's break this down step by step. So the first chart I made to illustrate my point contains height on the x-axis, percentage of women who would not disqualify you at this height on the y-axis. So pretty self-explanatory. If you are 5 feet tall, the percentage of women who would not disqualify you at this height is around 20%. Obviously, people are going to ask, YBC, where the hell did you get these numbers? Yeah, I got them out my ass, but they're pretty realistic. Stick with me. This is a pretty accurate estimate of what would actually go down. You can expect if you're between 5 feet tall to 5'4", a lot of women, the majority of women, are going to reject you purely based off your height, right? Just off of straight up looking at you. That is just the brutal reality.
We're talking about the end extremes here, right? It's already resonant. So that's why they say the most attractive height for men is 6'2". That's the reason why, huh?
Of it. If you really want to get all nerdy with it, you can check dating app statistics. You can check a bunch of other stats that show the exact same thing, but that is just the bottom line. The shorter you are, the more women are going to disqualify you based on your height. However, as you can see, the jump from 5 feet to 5'2" and then 5'2" to 5'4", it's not that significant, right? It goes from about 20 to 30%. But every extra inch of height past, I would say, 5'6", becomes pretty significant. So it starts off kind of slow, and then it starts to pick up the pace. And then after 5'8", every extra inch of height is going to make a pretty big difference, right? Up until about 6 feet tall. And this is kind of where height starts to become diminishing returns. So, you know, optimally you have 6'2", which is where the majority of women would not disqualify you at this height. and then it slowly starts to drop off. Yes, guys, there is actually a thing called too tall. You can be too tall for a lot of women, and this graph perfectly depicts that. So it goes up, right? It peaks at a certain height, and then it starts to go down. So as you can see, not all increases in height are equal. An increase in height from 5'8" to 6 feet is much, much more significant than from 6 feet to 6'4". So yeah, this is kind of the first chart which illustrates the nature of height, how different heights are going to affect your success rate with women initially, at least. So let's look at the other chart, which is percentage of women who would find your face attractive.
I think is about like 5'2", like what's the 5'2 and a half? That's the most attractive height, right? According to statistics, I think. For men is like, I mean, I would argue like, yeah, it's about like 6'3", 6'2 and a half. 5'3", I mean, 5'2 and a half. For men is about 6'2", right? But is this like where is this statistic like exactly? Is it like in America, in a particular city in America? Because you cannot really generalize, as I said, because it depends on society. It depends on the area. The city, right? You might find slightly different statistics. It's not consistent, I mean.
Slightly different because from 1 to 4 you're still a sub 5, right? Like going from a 1 to 4 isn't going to make that much of a difference, so there's not a huge jump here. From 4 to 5 is pretty significant because that's where you're going to hit average looking, so a lot more women are going to find you attractive as depicted here. And then from 5 to 8 it just grows exponentially. So 5 to 6 not that much, 7 is a huge jump, and then 8
Well,
is
how do you measure, bro? Let's talk about this, bro. How do you measure facial like attractiveness? Because the thing is that there is no objective like standard to measuring your how good looking someone is. The golden ratio measures proportions, not beauty. It's not something quantifiable. You cannot really associate numbers with it. We are not talking about mass. We are not talking about speed. So how can you really measure it? It changes with expression. It changes with age. Again, how can you really measure it? There is no one standard, objective standard. I mean, objective measurement. Everyone has different measurement, different measurement way, a different measurement tool, measurement standard. And everyone claims that his standard is the objective one. So until y'all agree about how can you really measure such thing, then we cannot really talk about objectivity. Or a score, of attractiveness. There are estimates, but it's not precise, as I said.
Extremely massive jump. So you can see how differently face and height are perceived by women, or how differently an increase in both affects your attractiveness. Now that you've seen both charts, which is going to give you a general idea of how both aspects are perceived, it's finally time to look at this chart over here, which is basically a matrix consisting of tall and handsome, tall and ugly, short and ugly, short and handsome. So if you're above average height,
I hate
and
that
above
term, bro. I keep using that term, bro. Just say not good looking. That's it. No reason to use that degrading term.
average looking, you're going to end up in this quadrant here, tall and handsome. If you are below average looking but above average height, you're going to end up in this quadrant here. If you are below average height and below average looking, you're going to end up in this sad quadrant here. And if you're above average looking and below average height, you're going to end up in this quadrant here. Each quadrant is separated into 4 different categories, which you can read. So for example, over here we have 5'9" to 5'11" Chad, 6 feet to 6'5" Chad, 5'9" to 5'11" above average, 6 feet to 6'5" above average. And each one is color coded. And you can look over here to see what each color represents. Red meaning no appeal, orange little appeal, yellow moderate appeal, green high appeal and light green max appeal. So you can see that, for example, if you're a 5'5" or under and you're a Chad, you will have little appeal because being a Chad carries. But being 5'5" or under is still extremely brutal, so obviously that's going to penalize you. If you're a 5'5" or under in any other case, you have no appeal, right? A lot of women are going to reject you because of your height. This doesn't mean that you can't get a girlfriend. This doesn't mean that you can't compensate with status, humor, social skills, face, money, whatever. But it just means that generally speaking, you are going to be at a huge disadvantage. And then obviously in the top right corner, if you're tall and extremely good looking, you're going to have max appeal. So you guys can plot yourself on this and see where you lie. It's pretty self-explanatory and easy to do, but you will notice that there is a huge difference between a guy who's short and handsome and a guy who's tall and ugly. If you were slightly short and handsome, which means below average within reason, you're still going to have much more dating success, generally speaking, than a guy who is tall but ugly, right? Because tall and ugly guys, yes, they have some appeal in a lot of cases, but most of the time, a short and handsome guy is just going to get more options. So if you're 5'6", 5'8", but you're above average, you're probably going to do better than guys in this section here. So I'm basically making the argument that face matters way more, and height is basically an amplifier of what you already have. So if you're not good looking, 100 times 0 is still 0. If you are average or above, height is actually going to give you an even greater halo. This is with women though. With men, it's a little bit different, of course, because guys respect each other based on physical stature and height. If you're taller, you're going to get more respect from dudes, even if you're ugly facially, right? If you're short and handsome, doesn't matter how pretty or cute you look, guys are probably not going to respect you upon looking at you. So there's a trade-off for each one. But as far as women are concerned, definitely better to be on the shorter side and more.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, like regarding this fitness creators like Devil Lay, all these like fitness influencers, like even these Looksmaxxers, like Chico Lachowski, like it's the opposite to what one would expect. You would expect that these guys, like, they get so much female attention, so much, like, I'm saying, in the comments, or their social media, like, posts are floated by females, they're thirsting over them, but it's not the case. Most of their fans are actually men. It shows that in these communities, these Looksmaxxing communities, in the fitness communities, it's about men, men with other men, like praising other men. Because it's men doing these things for other men, right? They show, like, when they flex how much they can bench or how much weight they can lift. It's impress other men. Because women are not attracted to the same things, right? I mean, there is attraction, right? But it's mostly like you would see mostly men respect if you go into the comments and stuff. Women, because women are more selective. I mean, they probably slide in their DMs and stuff. They don't show it just that much, like publicly, attention publicly, unless other female like influencers and stuff. Then you would see respect. You would see, like, love being shown by other females more commonly. But with men, like men Looksmaxxing fitness influencers, it's mostly other men like praising them. That's what you would notice. So my point is, men tend to show respect, right, to other men, while attraction to women, to the opposite gender, they show respect to other men because they are not attracted to them. But the respect for the opposite gender is usually overlaps with attraction. They are indistinguishable. So a lot of times when you see someone showing respect to the opposite gender, it's usually attraction. It's more represented in the form of attraction. Because most people, like, they're heterosexual, right? So it makes sense that they show respect rather than attraction. And for women, it's more distinguishable. I mean, it's more discernible, I would say. Respect and attraction are more discernible. They can show respect for someone, like, for example, they might care about someone, but they are not necessarily attracted. For men, it's the same in a lot of cases towards the opposite gender, right? But women showing respect towards men, it's more discernible. Respect and attraction are more discernible for women, like when they are shown to other men. if a woman says like shows you respect, it doesn't always like mean attraction. It's different. Whereas with men, in a lot of cases, it means attraction. You get the point that I'm saying, right? Anyways,
physically attractive than on the taller side, but you look like a goblin. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. Generally, face matters more. But if we're talking about averages, guys who are in between maybe 4 to 6 out of 10 of face, height is actually going to be the big differentiating factor. Because to go from a 4 to a 5 is not as big of a jump as to go from like 5'9" to 6 feet tall, right? 5'9" to 6 feet tall, much bigger jump, much bigger ROI on your dating factor. Because to go from a 4 to a 5 is not as big of a jump as to go from like 5'9" to 6 feet tall, right? 5'9" to 6 feet tall, much bigger jump, much bigger ROI on your dating life than going from a 4 to a 5 out of 10 in the face. And then similarly, going from a 5 to a 6 in the face isn't as big of a jump as going from like 5'10" to 6'2", for example. So I think a jump in height when you're in the average to slightly above average range is still going to boost you a lot more than face. The time where face starts to just absolutely overpower height to the point where height,
let me focus a bit.
When you're in the average to slightly above average range, is still going to boost you a lot more than face. The time where face starts to just absolutely overpower height to the point where height basically starts to matter way less is when you get to like 7 and 8, when you become really good looking, which most people are not. So
let me ask something, bro. Let me ask something. Why don't men care about height as much as women? Like, what is the reason behind this? Is it because, like as I said, height like strength? Is this the reason why? And women aren't the like supposed to show strength? It's the men. Is this the reason? Is it seen as a sign like of strength, of ability to provide security? Is this the reason why, like evolutionary speaking? Because I know it has to do something. It has something to do with biology. It has something to do with evolution. But if it's the reason that I mentioned, if that's the exact reason, I don't know. You tell me.
You know, for people, an increase in height will help them a shit ton. But there's like a select few guys who are just so good looking that it doesn't matter. Pretty much that is the point of this argument. By the way, if you need help leveling up your looks or your social skills,
when you're like, I mean, not good looking, not that good looking, or you're just average, you know, I mean, that's where like your height plays a big role. But so that's basically his point. But when you are like super attractive, I mean 7A plus, then it's like its importance, like height's importance, begins to diminish.
or just learning how to talk to girls, check out my school. Link is in the description. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
All right, man. I'm done, man. I keep getting this fucking ads, man. Fucking hell. All right, man. I'm done. Thanks for watching, man. I'm sharing some of my thoughts. I'm so fucking dizzy again. Anyways, I'm sharing some of my thoughts. Hope you all enjoy.